You are an Iron Man!
Damian, thank you very much for agreeing to come on to the podcast. It's a pleasure to see you.
Good morning, Micky. Good to be here.
Want to start off just by saying congratulations on the Brutal Extreme Triathlon.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely unreal achievement. I don't even know where to begin on that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about it later, because I think what's going to be nice about this is, you know, any Ironman, you don't just jump into an Ironman. A double Ironman, you just don't jump into a double Ironman. So I'm going to go back in time and try and get a flavour of the journey that took you to that point when you completed that savage race just a couple of weeks ago, actually, now. Tell me a wee bit about you growing up as a cub. Were you always sporty, or...?
Okay, come here. I suppose always done a bit of sport. Maybe a small wee bit of underage football. Not very much, you know, but wasn't much football in me or in the rest of us, the brothers and sisters, for that matter. But we had some underage football, and started boxing at a young age. I think it was about 10. My brother Shane was in the boxing club, and started boxing with Bishop Kelly Boxing Club in Oma. We were quite young, and at that time a whole bunch of my friends from up that way up around Ashby and Ballygolly, fellas that I had been friends with and cousins, and all got involved in the boxing. So me and the brother Shane kind of kept at it, and a couple of my mates, the Holland lads, all stuck at it for a good few years, and enjoyed it, hey, and got about a bit, and I came here quite active in that end for a good few years, and kept us. We did a lot of running and stuff and that kind of thing, you know, within the boxing club, I suppose, you know, Bishop Kelly and Oma.
Would there have been a lot of that sort of strength training, core training, or what sort of stuff was it back then? Or
not really. More skipping and hitting the bags, and a lot of sparring and pad work and all that kind of thing, you know. 2 nights a week, and at that time we were fighting a lot more than now. I do a bit of coaching in the club now. Far less tournaments and stuff, but back then we were fighting. You had a fight every couple of weeks, you know. Maybe every second weekend or third weekend at least, anyway, for sure. Had a local tournament of such all around the country. I mean, we used to go to tournaments the length and breadth of Ireland. My dad used to draw us about, and Kevin Simmons, boxing coach at the time, and Micky O'Neill, would have drew us for one fight at a tournament. They could have landed us in Kilkenny,
right?
You know, on a Saturday evening. Maybe you go down and got a hammer and back up the ring, you know. And it was great, brilliant. Obviously, the amount of people we met, hey, and friends, lifelong friends, and through the boxing club was brilliant, you know. Great sport.
So you're boxing from about 10. How long did it last for your boxing?
I boxed probably boxed up until for about 10, 15 years. Kind of took a few years away from boxing, where I was in Australia. Done a white collar show or something in Australia. Done a wee bit of training and stuff over there, but came back again and sort of started coaching a bit, and had another couple of fights then again. My last fight, I think, was, well, I'm 41 now. My last fight I would have seen probably about 8 or 9 years ago, my last actual fight. And was a whole lot heavier than me, you know, when I first started. But hey, I come here, I'm kind of kept active in the boxing over the years. Still love going I'll be in the club coaching, but still love going in for a bit of a spar along with the young lads. If there's any bigger, heavier lads going in for a bit of a spar, you know.
Show them how the old hands do it,
I come here, there's still another one about, you know, it'd be good ice crack to get in.
But hey, that's a wild bit of training from the age of 10 for 10 or 15 years, a couple of times a week, skipping, punching, sit-ups, Rocky theme music, buzzing in the ears.
Definitely a lot of time when you've been a lot of losing weight, a lot of trying to keep your weight down, missed out on a lot of big nights or big party nights. Come in numerous. I remember, I think my two brothers' 18th birthdays. I missed out on them for having to fight the next day in a championship and not eating much, maybe starving myself to try and make a weight the next day, you know. There was lots of that and all, like, you know, trying to starving yourself for a couple of days and training hard and trying to keep weight and dehydrating yourself just to make a weight, you know. Not a good job, I suppose, but trying to do it too close to the fight.
So a lot of physical demands on it too.
I know what I am, but me, you know.
But it must have taught you something about discipline and about being prepared, and you know, there must be things that you've learned in the boxing that you've carried through right through your whole life, probably, and presumably well into triathlon.
Oh, I agree, absolutely. I look at the dietary thing and everything. I mean, we had good times in boxing. A lot of hard. It was hard times, but it was hard at the time doing some of them things. But we had some great crack, like some great tournaments and great trips away, and that was brilliant. Things back then, like, it was a whole lot differently, you know. As far as these championships and travelling and things you could do, you know, young lads could go out and, you know, like on the streets at night in different places, you know, and your mother or father or the coaches wasn't worried about your stuff, you know what I mean? You know how it is, like, how things have moved on. But like, boxing is a great sport. Still going on the clubs now in Esca. Say I coach the wee lads, the wee underage boys. You know, me lad goes to it. Michael loves it. And it's a great sport. It's a great sport for young lads, you know.
I'll take your word for it. I never ventured into the boxing because people punch you in the face.
Well, like I said, I think that is why, looking at it like that is why a lot of people, young lads, doesn't start it.
Don't do it.
But it's absolutely not the case, you know. They do, you know, that's what happens. But young lads comes in and they say at the start they don't want to spar, they don't want to. But whenever they spar for the first time, especially wee lads with big headgears on and wearing big gloves, you know, they can't get hurt. You know, they don't hurt each other, and they just the young boys, especially the young lads, really loves the crack in the ring whenever they can beat each other up, so to speak. But they're really just beating up headguards and gloves, yes, you know.
Yes.
But it's a good discipline.
But here, it clearly stood you in good stead anyway. You know, in terms of your fitness and your cardio, you know, you were probably unreal shape really throughout your teenage years. You know, if you think that you were at that crack from 10 years of age, as you're going through adolescence and into teenage, laying on muscle and turning into a man and doing all that training at the same time, you must have been in some nick back then, like.
Looking back, I suppose
like, you're not in bad nick now, you have to say, by the way. But I'm just saying, you know, when you compare it to someone maybe like myself, who had a fairly sedentary life at that point, like I was listening to fucking heavy metal music and smoking Regal filters. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you were doing 100 sit-ups and punching the bag. You know what I'm saying? So comparatively, we were kind of chalk and cheese, I suppose. We got there in the end.
For sure, yeah. And that's why where life takes you different places. I mean, the amount of places I see myself, up the late, running out in wheels. And I said to one of the boys, like, you know, the places you find yourself, things you find yourself doing, you know, unbelievable.
One of the other things then, Damon, you and I were chatting about was another sport that I didn't even realise it was a sport. I didn't realise that it was a thing. I knew that I had heard of it. But tell me about Tug of War.
Aye. The Tug of War, again, probably up in Ashborough. My father years ago had a Tug of War team, and they would have kept an odd. When they went to an odd sports day, he would have gathered up a team every now and again, years later, like whenever I was young, to go to the sports day, and pull Tug of War and have a crack, you know, a bunch of boys. And me and the brothers then kind of got involved in that and growing up, and we tried to get a team going in Ashborough. I had a team going in Ashborough for a couple of years. With a pull in sports days and that, and stuff. And then a friend of ours who would have pulled along with us, a fella from Taddy asked me and the brother to come along till he was pulling the team in Monaghan at the time, Kelly Lock, and me and the brother, I was young. I was maybe 16 or 17, whenever I joined up with them. and I was still boxing. So started it, and so like I said earlier, Micky, the Tug of War, what that team would have been doing at the level that they were pulling at. It's a kind of like white collar boxing and a proper boxing show. The white collar show is maybe they train for a few nights and they'll take part in a fight, and it's a real brawl match. Same thing as a sports day Tug of War. It's just a ripping and towing and matching. There's no weight categories.
Uh-huh.
I pulled along with Killylock, and we were pulling like in Irish championships and Ireland and UK championships, and went out then abroad to pull in European and World championships.
Right.
And that's a whole weight category out. So the whole team stands, 8 pullers all stands on the scales at the one time. So there's different weight categories: 560 kilos, which is the lightest weight, 600, 640, 680, and so on and so forth. We pulled with Killylock for me and my brother Kieran for about 6 or 7 years. Brilliant, loved it. Trained twice or 3 times a week in a wee shed up in Tidasnet. I used to box on a Tuesday night, Tuesday and Thursday night, and we trained in the boxing club in Escra from 8:15 to 9 o'clock, and I would have stepped outside the boxing club door and stepped into the yard and went straight till Tidasnet, and the training started in Tidasnet at about, from what I can remember, I think it was training started at about 9:30 o'clock, because there's a lot of lads coming from different parts, grown men, coming from Cavan and Monaghan and Fermanagh and different places, working men that couldn't just come early evening. So we started training at 9:30, 9:45, and trained until 11 o'clock at night in a wee shed where we pulled a bar of concrete up and down all night.
That's what I was going to say. How do you train in Tug of War? A big lump of concrete.
Concrete is on a pulley system. That's how most of them on a pulley system, and they were pulled up and down. Hard training, you know. It's all technique. Tug of War is like it's like the boxing, the white collar and the proper boxing. It's the sports day is a strength match. The proper Tug of War is all technique. You know, it's all and strengthen your wrists, and it's all strengthen the legs and body position and all this stuff, right? Tough training, brilliant training, very rewarding sport. You know, we come here at the time. Me and the brother was pulling Tug of War. Hey, we went to my first trip. Whenever the end that year I started, was to the European Championship. I think it was in a place called Mosnang in Mosnang. He called the place in Switzerland. And then every year then we were away. We pulled Tug of War at world and European level every year. Then for Holland several times, Italy. I was in Sweden at an international pull. We represented Ireland in one of the weights in the World Sports Games in Germany, Düsseldorf.
Right.
That was brilliant. It was South Africa, World Championship in South Africa, a number of years ago. We had some crack at the Tug of War now.
Jesus,
and then I hurt me back after 6 or 7 years. First pull of the year, and maybe one day they gave me a bad hurt, and I pulled on all year, trained away and done whatever, but I left myself in real bad shape tail end of the year, and I ended up getting an operation in my back a number of years ago, and then that kind of finished that.
And that was the end of that.
And I've been for years. The brother has been at me talking about it and getting back into it again, you know. But I just know that if I went back to Tug of War, I know I would love to, but I just know that if I went back to Tug of War again, my back wouldn't. Because I still suffer from the sore back, right? Quite a bit actually. So, but I manage it.
The Tug of War then is a full-on international or world recognised sport in its own right.
Yeah, indoor Tug of War. Indoor Tug of War is great. Tug of War is big, and big in Europe, very big in Holland and Switzerland and Sweden and stuff, you know. America, Canada. Teams come from all over the world to the European or the World and European Championships.
Unreal. And did you win any big?
The team that I pulled with, Killylock, they're actually started up again lately. The team we pulled with was won a world title in 1986. They won another one in 1996. The same team, as far as I know, and they won another one in 2006.
Jesus.
And there was only 2 different pullers on the team in 2006 as what was in 1986.
Them oil hands still at it.
The oil boys, honest to God, they're brilliant. and some of them boys still playing today.
Jesus.
One or two of them in that new team. And then, no, I shouldn't say old fellas, but they're old hands, you know.
Relative, like
comparison to the big European teams, you know.
To be in any sport for that length of time, you know, and to be still.
Come here, Tug of War is a great sport, but it's like a whole lot of other things. If you're not involved in it, you don't hear tell of it much. It's like I knew nothing about triathlon till the great Shane McGill mentioned to me one day. I was in buying a bit of furniture or something, you know. And I knew nothing. I knew about running and swimming and biking and stuff, but I knew there was triathlon. But as far as triathlon and OMA, I didn't really hear much.
If you're not kind of mixing in the circle, it's just going on in the background.
That's the very same thing as the Tug of War, you know. And it's probably the same with most sports, you know. A lot of sports, maybe bar and GAA, it's like the boxing and everything. I mean, if you're not really, you wouldn't know there's a wee local tournament on if you weren't really.
That's right. If you don't keep your hand in there, like how would you know?
Yeah.
So Tug of War, boxing, Tug of War, and then presumably some of the elements of triathlon started to creep into the mix. Then you probably doing a bit of research with the boxing and stuff.
Look at
about the biking and things like that.
Come here. One of the biggest regrets. Me and my wife, Grania, my girlfriend at that time, went to Australia, and to work for a few years, and I didn't do no biking from as a youngster. Again, like everything else, hardly knew anything about biking or there was such thing as bike racing or whatever. And Grania has always been a good runner and running and stuff. And we were running odd 10k or 10 mile or 5 mile run in Australia. Some of these things based on the cities, and I must say one of the biggest regrets that I have is that I didn't get into cycling whenever I was in Australia. But looking back now, there's so many the roads and the weather, and like it is such a great place to go to be a cyclist.
Perfect.
The weekends or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't, and we came back. We were in Australia for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and came back, and I got back into the boxing club again. Bit of coaching and bit of boxing, but I've done a bit of training and maybe had a fight or two. And I happened to be away one weekend for, I think my brother-in-law's 40th birthday, from what I can remember. And we were in Ardra in Donegal. And my other brother-in-law now, the fellow's married to my wife's sister, Conor McYarl, takes the Knockmanny Run Club. He wasn't there. He was coming down. Me and a bunch of the other lads then, the Grania's brother-in-laws, hired bikes, and we went off. Racing McManaman, married Grania's sister, one of them, Faker Woods, and Grania's brother Damian. We hired bikes and headed out the road out of Ardra. Glen Gex, is you call?
Not sure.
Anyhow, headed out the road, and I absolutely hated it. Pushed the bike up the last hill. Me and one of the lads, give away no names in case you listen to this. Couldn't wait to get off the bike. Right, genuinely couldn't wait to get off the bike, and rode back to Ardra. Conor then appeared. Conor McYarl, second down from home, and got chatting that night. And he says to me, he says, I'm going to put a team of boys together to do the Missing the Mall. Will you join us? And I says, not a chance. Right? So now, lo and behold, I came home on the Monday or Tuesday and was in the boxing club. I got chatting to the boxing coach, Dan McYarkin, in Ballygolly. And we were chatting about doing a fundraiser for the boxing club. And I don't know why or how I changed my mind, but I says to Dan, I will do this. Conor McYarl is looking to do Missing the Mall as a fundraiser. Will we buy a couple of bikes and try it, you know? And here, within about 2 weeks, we had a team of men get up, me and the three brothers, and a heap of boys, just friends from around Eskra and or nearby. We went and got bikes, and Conor put a training program together for we started it maybe August or September time, and we done it in September. I think then the following year, or August. We trained the whole winter. Jeez, we never had a bad Sunday, and in fact, my last fight came from being sitting in the boxing club one Sunday morning, waiting for a team of boys to get up. I'll never forget it, going to do our first long cycle, 56 mile we done. We went to Monaghan on the worst day of the year. And the Ulster Boxing Championship weigh-ins was on in the boxing club. And Dan McCartan, the boxing coach, was lining up to come cycling along with me and the boys. And while I was leaving the club, I had been training at the time, but not sparring much. While I was leaving to go cycling, Dan says, "Why don't you jump on the scales for the crack and enter the championships?" Right? Completely out of the blue, right? So off goes the cycling clothes and onto the scales, and I weighed in as a heavyweight, if you like. But I was no more a heavyweight. I was a heavyweight on the scales, but I wasn't a proper heavyweight. You know? And I had a fight. We cycled down the longs. We were doing the 56 mile, which was a wild distance, you know, back then.
Right. Where you were at.
Right?
Yes.
It's like nothing about out now. I'm doing 56 mile, you know, in the evening.
Aye.
And then I fought then 2 nights later. On the Tuesday night, I think I fought. Or maybe I think it was Tuesday night or Wednesday up in Belfast. And then I fought again at the weekend, and then I fought again in the following weekend in the final, the Ulster Senior Elite Finals in Bellini's in Newry, and that was my last fight. And I done quite well, too. I won the 2 fights, and then I got beat in the final. But I had a good old toss-up, you know. And I've never actually had I might have had a white collar show or 2 since, but never had a proper fight.
You're the sort of boy that someone says, "Well, we do this here." You're like, "I frigate."
Micky, you know, I don't know if I do a lot of that tape stuff, and I don't know if it's a good idea. It's always a bad idea at the time. It's always good at the time, but bad whenever you're stuck in the middle of it.
Can you mind how long ago that was, Damian, that you were on just sort of starting the bike? Can you mind roughly when that was?
I think it's 10 years next year from we done the Missing the Mile. So I pretty much 9 years ago, you might say.
9 or 10 years.
9 or 10 years ago. I think it's 10 years next year. Maybe we done the Missing the Mile.
The thing that I find wild inspiring about this is because I only know you from on the Tri Club.
Yeah.
And one of the first times that I met you was out in a cycle. And what happened was we were going out in a cycle, and I went out. It was on a Tuesday night, and I bit off more than I could chew because I found myself out on a Tuesday night, not really knowing that a Tuesday night was a wee bit of a Boston match, and I wasn't properly ready for that particular cycle. And I was coming up over a hill in Dromore, and we were heading towards Fintona, and I lagged away off. The group dropped me at the back, and you came back for me. And I'll never forget that, and I'll remember it. And you came back and you said, "Tuck in behind me and we'll catch these boys up. We'll just take her handy, 20 mile an hour." I was hanging off the back of you thinking, "Do you hear your man taking it handy, 20 mile an hour?" My lungs were hanging out of me. But I got a quite good draft off you, and you brought me back, and we linked up with the crew. But I would always only ever think of you as a really, really strong cyclist. And lo and behold, there was a time whenever you hated the fucking thing. Do you know what I mean? So it's just nice to reflect on that we all started somewhere, and we all were beginners in each of these things at some point.
I love it. After we done the Missing the Mile, I really enjoyed it, and I suppose I was at the tail end then of my boxing, and I say I wasn't into football. I suppose too old for football then anyway, but it was something then to take up to keep me fit and to do in the evenings, and a couple of sort of my brother-in-law Connor was big into the cycling at the time, racing and stuff, and Terry McKenna, another mate, who I pretty much met through Connor as well, became a good friend, and I would have sort of started cycling with them and enjoying the crack, and going to another sportive.
Mm-hmm.
I joined Clogher Valley Wheelers with them, and started taking part in these inter-club races during the week. Clogher Valley would, like, there was four clubs was Clogher Valley, and it was a few different clubs, and they would race together during the week, and loved that. Loved the buzz and the bit of adrenaline and the wee bit of a rush you got into the racing, you know. And come here, I was always I was a good enough cyclist, you know. I used to love the crack, and I was a bit heavier, could have maybe sprinted a wee bit better than I was. Never was a climber, I couldn't go over the hills very well, you know. But hung in there and enjoyed the crack, right. Then I've done a wee bit of open racing, club racing, the weekends, and I come here, done over 3D a couple of years and got on alright. Got a few points, and then you go from A4 and got an A3 and got a few smashes and stuff like that there. I mean, I really enjoyed the cycling. I enjoyed the buzz of the cycling and the racing.
Mm-hmm.
Really enjoyed the buzz of the racing, and it kept you in good shape, right? The weight quite time consuming comparison to running, but keeps the weight off. I suppose, and if there was a bit of weather at all, it's just great to get out on the bike during the week, you know, or in a bit of weather. And I come here, look at, I suppose cycling is like everything else. The more you do of it, the more you do, the better you get. You know, when I just loved racing, I used to go to the races, come here, these A4 races and the club races and that there, and made my way in the A3. Got into a few smashes now, right? And it kind of put me off racing for a couple of years. And sort of do a bit of running then, I suppose. I started doing a bit of running. Walking away in Dublin, doing a lot of walk away, so I couldn't really get as much biking done during the week.
Mm-hmm.
Then as well, you know. And I'm trying to think now how I was racing the bike and then not racing the bike for a couple of years, and then somewhere along the line, after we got married, I had tinkered with it a few times, couldn't swim.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but I was doing loads of runs, loads of 10k runs and right locker runs.
Aye.
My first I'll tell you a story of my first marathon, right?
Mm-hmm.
My first marathon was, I hadn't been running for about, I hadn't really done a 10k. I had done no training runs at all really for a year maybe, right? Hadn't been riding the bike much. And every year Knockmany runners would go and do a marathon, or most years they train together for a marathon, whether it be at home or away somewhere. And this particular year it was in Rome, and Grania, my wife, was doing the marathon in Rome along with the club, so I signed up to go with them for the weekend, you know, for a bit of crack. And because I knew everybody in the club, or most people in the club, so we headed out to Rome, and I had a pair of running shorts, or a pair of shorts with me. So the crack was good anyway. And on the day, the second day we were there, the third day, whatever, we went to the expo, and one of the fellows who was with us from the running club had an entry for the marathon, but couldn't do it. He had hurt his ankle a few weeks before. So, dead on. Me and Connor Micky, the running club coach, brother-in-law, was big into cycling. We went and hired 2 bikes, and we headed off on the day before the marathon, and I think we rode 40 or 50 miles away out the old road, the old Appian Way, cobbled road, rode away out, and a great day on the bike and a bit of crack, and got coffee and whatever, and feed a bun, and came back that night to the hotel, black dark through the city, no lights in the bike, and some crack. But we came back to the hotel that night, and the fella who had the marathon entry was sitting in the lobby of the hotel, and I got chatting to him, and says to them that there was a chance I had in my head that I might tackle this marathon, you see. And so I went down to town for ice cream. Me and Connor went down to an ice cream parlour, 2 ice creams, and I said to Connor, I said, do you think I'd be mad if I done this marathon? No training. I'd never done a half marathon before ever. Hadn't ran in months and months at all. And well, he says, if you think you can do it, don't let me stop you, don't do it. So one of the guys in the club Collie Grimes, big fella from Barra, was running, and I had sort of said to Collie what kind of pace would he be running at, and so I kind of thought, going, I might prefer running Collie, so I got the entry anyway, and the next morning I was going to bed, Grania was getting ready for the run, and I had got your man's vest of him, his running vest, you see, and his number. So on goes the vest, and Grania says, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to do this marathon." She says, "You're doing no marathon." I said, I'm going to do this marathon. So down I went and lined up and started at the Coliseum, Rome, and literally, Micky, as genuinely right, no word of a lie, we were going through the start line, the bridge, the starting gate, so to speak, and the heavens opened, right? It lashed for the whole day, and I had a pair of shoes on me, like a pair of gutties on me, right? They weren't running shoes, right? They were shoes for running around the house, right?
Yeah.
That I had just wore with my jeans or out, or my shorts out to Rome. So about 4 or 5 mile in to the run, or 3 mile or 6 mile or something like this, we had to run through a big massive puddle of water flooding the road, and I started getting blisters in my right foot. Never forget it. And I got a sore foot, sore ankle, sore knee, all on the right side, sore hip, sore back, all up my right side, carrying myself, But we never stopped. Me and Collie, we stayed, we ran in the rain. Oh Jesus, talk would have been sore. And 4.5 hours, right? Just under 4.5 hours, I think it was. And nobody at the finish line. It was torrential rain. Walked back to the hotel, up the street, took about an hour, right? Couldn't hardly get one foot in front of the other. And I'll never forget coming back into that hotel. I lay down in the shower, on the floor of the shower, and I must have lay for about an hour, at least an hour and a half to get me up. And we went out that night. Oh, we went for a pizza, and I had to be armed to the toilet. Do you know what I mean? But bad job. Shouldn't have been done. But you know what? Great experience, hated every minute of it. And done Dublin 2 years later, loved it.
There's just something I want to just tap into there, because it's probably important, and it's probably worth a quick mention just ahead of the triathlon years. Again, when the notion was on you to do it, come hell and literally high water, it wasn't going to fucking stop you from actually completing the marathon. So that there's a strength and there's an inner belief that's there, that like if you get something in your head, it's done. You're going to get it done. Like, is that right or wrong?
Stupidity, Micky.
I always one of my favorite statements is like, are you a hardy buck or are you a buck agent?
Or buck agent.
Or maybe you need to be a wee bit of both.
You need both. I think you need a wee bit of both. Definitely, you need a wee bit of both. I think whenever it comes to the triathlon thing,
So you've done your cycling. You'd enjoyed it. You got a good buzz out of it. You'd beaten the marathon in Rome against biblical weather and all the rest. And then you bumped into Shane McGill. McGill has to feature in these fucking podcasts in some way, shape, or form. I love this wee shout out. So I'm going to blame McGill. It's McGill's fault that you got into triathlon there.
No doubt. I think he's probably the reason why I'm doing this podcast tonight. You'll have to do this podcast. I'm not exactly sure of how remember how this happened, but myself and Grania and I didn't even know Shane McGill, right? And we were in the shop buying some furniture for the house after we got married, and I was cycling and stuff at the time, whatever, and of course, well, no, it wouldn't have been as far back as then, or was it? Anyhow, chatting about triathlon, and I said that I had often said to Grania that I would like to try a triathlon, the local Try the Lock. A friend of mine would have done it a time or two, trained for it and that only, that I'm carrying more. And learned to swim and all for it. And I said to Grania that I would like to, and I said this to me for a couple of years previous to doing it, that I'd like to learn to swim. So we got swim lessons. Grania organised, I think, with a lady from Lurgan. She was a Welsh girl, Caroline, can't remember her second name. Kausa, you call her, or we swim thing.
Mm-hmm.
Up on Oxford Island, of a Saturday, we done swim lessons. We before we started, we bought dry suits or wetsuits, and we went up and met her up on Oxford Island. I don't know if you ever swam on Oxford Island. It's lovely up the motorway, you know.
Right, so straight in, starting swimming, just straight into the open water.
Stayed in the way we learned good lessons in open water. I had never swam in a pool for maybe 6-8 months after that. But anyway, we learned. So we done a lesson up there, and everything from the very start till stretching before we get into the water and breathing and getting in, and then the whole first lesson like doggy paddling and all this carry on, and then till the second lesson up there as well in Oxford Island again, where we learnt we started doing the front crawl, and I know for me, started the front. It was all about just persevering. Then, she showed us what we had to do to do the basics, and then thereafter, I think I might have got maybe 3 more lessons in Lochmacrory, right? And just persevering, choking and splattering and puffing about in the water, and swimming out of ignorance and strength and little technique, but persevering with the choking and whatever else, you know.
Keeping yourself afloat.
I done a lap of the loch, done a lap of the boys in Lochmacrory, and actually on a day that so we were going to get a lesson, and I ended up going and doing a lap, and Caroline, who was the swim coach, didn't want me to go and do the lap, but in my head I could see myself, I was going to do this lap, I could do this lap, you know. And I said to Grania, I have to go and do a lap because I have to try and do this lap. I knew I could hold on to the pull buoy or the pull float.
Yes.
You know, and I had the suit on, and I was confident in the water. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Stupid as well, I suppose.
Well, no, if you had the pull float. No.
But I knew in my head I had to do this lap. And come here. You know what? And me and Grania, that was a good summer. We started swimming. We swam. We would do our lesson, say whatever day it was, and then we swam on the Thursday. We ended up swimming, and then the tri club then started swimming. Nobody was coming in for theirs. We were maybe swimming earlier on in the year, and then the tri club then come in to do their swims on a Thursday evening. So we sort of started joining on them. Yeah, you know, kind of a bit at the start. And I was swimming with. We still hadn't joined the tri club. I was swimming one day along with Elaine Malahan's brother, and I can for the life of me never remember his name. It'll come back to me anyhow. I ended up meeting him in the water, and he was training for an event in Mongyar. And a friend of mine was training for the same event, a fella from the running club, to do a full distance Ironman or a full distance triathlon. And so I was going to do a lap, say my second lap or something with the swim. And he says, well, if you're going, I'll do another lap. He had done maybe 5 or 6 laps or something, you know. And we got chatting at one of the boys what he was going to do. And he told me, he says, you'd be fit to do the half distance at it, you know. I had never done a triathlon before, let alone going to do a half distance Ironman or half distance 70.3. And so, same as the marathon, came home with this in my head, and I couldn't get it out of my head. Right, so I said to Grania, guys, I'm going to have to book this race in Mongyar. It's 2 weeks time, right? And so I booked the half distance, the 70.3, and Grania booked the sprint. Right. Anyway, we went and we done it, and it was brilliant loch, not very deep, really, really clear water. I was as slow as a wet week, but strong as a horse, I could run. Yes. You know what I mean? Aye. Felt good. Bad swimmer. But a small race, you know. And that's the Celtic Warrior weekend. Brilliant weekend of racing. Full distance, half distance, sprint, Olympics, marathons, half marathons, everything, the whole weekend, right? Brilliant weekend. And I done the race. Really enjoyed it. Hadn't done no running at all, really, up to it. had the biking kind of in the bag because I'd done experience in the biking, right?
Aye.
And done the race, loved it. Ground you got on, done the sprint and loved it as well. Aye. And lo and behold, the fella that coaches me now, that has been coaching me for the last couple of years, won the full distance that same day.
Right.
And I didn't even know him, But but before, anyhow, maybe just after that day, I think I was chatting to Shane McGill, and he announced to me that he was almost on. I don't know if you ever heard that Shane used to be almost only double Ironman.
That's right.
He wouldn't say it much. He whispered it one day in the shop that he was almost only double Ironman, and then this Ironman thing, the name Ironman, kind of, I was intrigued by this. Hadn't a clue what an Ironman was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all the rest, but he had told me, and then told me all about Lanzarote. Ironman, and still I kind of didn't know enough about triathlon to know really about full distance and half distance and what have you, and but he kept me then. Told me about it a few times, and then I done to come up then maybe when did it come online maybe in that was early, that was middle of the year. And right, he texted me one day and said that Lanzarote is after going online, right? The race is after going online. The tickets going on sale or whatever. And here I booked it within minutes of him telling me it had gone online, And
you didn't let that one even sink in.
That was my fourth triathlon.
Your fourth.
My first was a half distance. The second was our race. Myself and Grania raced the only time I've ever done it. We raced Try the Lock together, and then I raced in a pool swim just before Lanza in Sligo.
Yes, right. I know it.
You might have been doing it the same day.
I did, yeah. So your fourth triathlon was Ironman.
My third triathlon. Pretty much my first proper triathlon was my third one, because the first one I hadn't a clue what I was going to do. I wasn't part of the tri club. The second one was our race over here, and I was kind of and then the third one in that pool swim in Sligo. Hated the swim in the pool. I'm not a pool swimmer. I don't like swimming in the pool very much. I like it, but I'm not very good at it. I'm not very efficient in the water, in the pool. I'm turning at the walls. I'm too awkward, right?
Yeah.
And busted myself in the swim. Come out of the water. Couldn't wait to get on the bike. The bike was hanging on the bike rack. Nearly knocked myself out on the bike rack, leaning down to get my helmet in my bag or something. And went to put on a jersey over my tri suit for some unknown reason. I don't know why I tried to do that. Put my arm out through the jersey, not the sleeve, panicking, right? Ran out of the transition area with my helmet unbuckled. Yeah, on the bike. And came back into the transition area with my helmet unbuckled, right? And the marshals roaring at me. Got the running shoes on and went to run out and got stalled by the marshals and got a stern warning. And but loved it.
Suffice to say that you hadn't really you hadn't found shoes.
I was well ready for Lanza at that stage,
So you found yourself really getting involved in triathlon and escalating like a bit of a fireworks display to the top, and what a full distance race to pick for your first one, Lanzarote.
I loved it too.
And you didn't lie down in that particular event from what I can remember. I remember following you and the rest of the guys that were doing it at the time using the tracker and that, and you made a good show of yourself.
You know what? and I haven't said this, and I have to give the man himself a bit of a compliment for this. So we went out for the week before the race. I'd done a lot of training for Lanzarote. I'd done a lot of biking.
Yes.
I'd done a lot of swimming. I'd done I got the fella who got me doing my first triathlon, Lane's brother, and he's probably going to text me after if he listened to this here, or Lane, and I can never freaking remember his name. I met him at a rally, right? Met him at a car rally down in Ballykelly at Christmas, and he asked me, about was I still doing the triathlon, and he told me they had used a fella from Court Island, Glencoe, as a tri coach, him and Brady, EB Sports, for his Ironman at the time, or his full distance, and he gave me his number, so I contacted him, and I got a training plan, right, and I've been using him since. Great fella, great coach, gets me there on point every time. He Eamon coached me to Lands. I'd done the training, but one thing that really stood me was I went to Mallorca and done a week cycling. Right, done a long hard week, 7 days on the bike. Along with Connor, brother-in-law, and Stevie McKenna, who's now big cyclist and is big runner, and now in the cycling. And he's going to make a name for himself, believe you me, in the next couple of years. The next year, already has this year, you might say. So the two boys took me till Mallorca and had a great camp in Mallorca, cycling in the hills and done the long days and the structured days, right. And so I went to Lanza in great shape. Kind of didn't know much about getting coached, and it happened perfectly. Looking back now, the week before I was flatlined, right? Didn't know how I was going to get through a race. I was so tired, and then I done the taper, right? But I was worried all the time, thinking like, Jesus, don't know, I'm so tired now. Like, how can I feel like this? And me going to do an Ironman, and pretty much not until the night before, or the morning of the race. I said to Grania, the night before, me and Grania done about 5 men in the bike. I had to get new wheels in the bike out there and stuff, for new tyres, and went for a spin on the bike and just a wee issue of the bike, and felt way better than I felt in weeks and weeks. Just the day before, I said to Grania the night before, I said, look, I'm going to have a great race and I feel great, you mean.
It was all worked out perfect.
And but Sheehan was there, right, all week. We swam all week out there. My first time ever swimming in salt water that week whenever we went out. So we swam. The swim was brilliant, right? And Sheehan introduced me to all these buddies from the triathlon, and met some brilliant, great friends that I've still keep in touch with and meet them at races and wherever. But he on the morning of the race, Sheehan's a great swimmer. On the morning of the race, we went down, and on the morning of the race, you know, the whole ACDC thing and all, right?
Yeah.
Buzzing for the race, right? Absolutely brilliant. And that particular man, I'll never forget it, Sheehan McGill was standing at the start line, and he was bricking it. Giant, right? And he laughed, and I was there, and probably not knowing, thinking to myself that I should be feeling the same way, you know.
Yeah.
Felt great, right? So got in the water and done the swim. Me and him went in together, and I must have looked back about 50 times to see who was the last in the water, you know. But I wasn't. I had a good swim. Like I think it was an hour and 20 minutes, or an hour and 22 minutes, or something like this, right? Not good at times.
Not too sure.
But when I got out of the water, this is the bit now, right? When I got out of the water, Sheehan was there in the tent waiting for me to come out. Okay, so he had probably finished the swim at least 15 minutes before me, you see. But he was there and he waited on me to come out to make sure it was okay. It was my first Ironman, and you know, not a lot of swimming experience and what have you. And Sheehan gets on the bike and heads off while I was starting to change me out of my swimming gear into my bike gear.
Yeah.
And me having done a bit more biking and training, I suppose Sheehan had done maybe very little. I passed him a few miles out the road, right, and bid him farewell and have a good race and whatever. Landed back to Lanzarote to the run and realised that Sheehan had missed the cut-off, got picked up on the bike somewhere along the road, right? Missed it by like probably minutes, right? But he had waited in the tent for me to get out of this, to see that I got out of this run. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Whereas he could have been gone and got the cut off. You mean, look at, and he never said it. And that's one thing. I take my hat off on. You know, like probably only for me that day he would have got through.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I look at. So anyway, he was there and shouted to me, and there was a bunch of others. My brother and a couple of mates came over. One of them came over, Emmett Lagan. Another mate came over. Never done any running ever. Well, barring a bit maybe. no biking ever, couldn't swim, came over to support, surprised me the night before the race, came over to watch me doing the Ironman with my brother and another friend, and got the bug for it, and ended up doing Ironman Cork last year.
That's right.
Long
Yeah.
Come here, I had a great race in Lanzarote. I can't remember, I think it ended up on my sheets, my stats rolling, I had 12 hours and 20 minutes and 45 seconds. And loved it.
Very, very, very good time.
Loved it. Had a really good bike. Within myself, felt great on the bike, and hard run that run where you head away out to the
airport direction,
the airport out on your own a lot. I can say that it came in. I'm not big on looking at my watch, and I don't look at power on the bike, and I don't look at nothing really, right? Barring the time of day or how long I've been on the bike. You know?
I'd be the same myself.
The running, same thing. Maybe watch me pace a bit or keep an eye on my pace, but I don't like looking at how far I went because it kind of plays my head. You're like, I'm not feeling great, and I'm going to get 10 miles done, you know. So, but I hadn't looked at the course much, right? Just not much, right? So you run out and you run back.
Right? Yeah,
exactly. Run out and run back to the finish line, and you turn around, get the wristband, and run back then till the edge of town, and you go round a roundabout and head back in again. So here's me heading back from the second time in. Grania and my friends had all left their spot where they were standing, gone down to the finish line to see me finishing. And I'm thinking, here, look at. So I look down at my watch, and I'm sitting around, you know, like three hours. I had a few miles to go, right? And I've 3 hours, 10 minutes done or something. And I'm thinking, Jesus, this is going to be some marathon, you know. I'm flying here, like, you know. But I got back to this finish line, and I seen these runners coming with a second wristband on. I was going, where the hell are they going? Lo and behold, I had to turn around and go back out again. I thought it was finished, right? Well, I went from running probably 8:30s or 9-minute miles, or like I was doing a fairly good run, right? Till walking pretty much, all because my head just went completely downwards, you know. On the way out,
when you thought that you were finished, then you realised it another.
Couldn't believe it. I don't know, only a few miles to go, but I couldn't. It just. I almost didn't finish, and I was really like I had hours to go. But I got out to the roundabout, and I had to turn around and run back, say 3 miles, you know. And then I ran back flying, and I knew then I was going back, you know. I'll never forget that heading away for the third time.
Just a wee bit of come on.
I couldn't believe it, you know. Complete stupidity to it. I didn't realise. I've done it since. I've done it since, and this year, last year in Almere in Holland, I've done a challenge race, and same thing. I just hadn't looked at the course enough, you know what I mean. I don't know. Sure, but I got it done here, and I really enjoyed it.
So you've done Lanzarote. You've completed a couple of full distance triathlon. You did challenge Almere.
Five fulls.
You
did Lanzarote and Cork that year as well.
Cork. You did Portugal. Did you do Portugal?
I done Lanzarote and Cork, and then last year I done Cork full. The bad year.
That's right.
Right. I done Cork full, but I was supposed to do Cork half as well.
You had signed up for the half distance on the Saturday and the full distance on the Sunday, and because of the weather, they put the two on the same day, so we opted to do the full then on the Sunday. So then, were you able to then defer your 70.3 then to another race?
There's a few of the lads from the club was going to Portugal to do Gascay 70.3. Shane was going to do the full.
Oh, that's right.
And Niall McDermott and Porrick McDermott going through do the 70.3, so I deferred my 70.3 from Cork to Portugal. Shortly after that, but before that, there, what I was saying, so I done Cork, right? And then I done, it was last year, I done Cork, and then I done a full distance and a challenge race in Almere in Holland.
Yeah.
That was in September. So it was the Holland race. I went and done the full distance in Holland. That was 2 weeks after Cork. Right?
That's crazy stuff, hey?
Brilliant race. Challenge is a brilliant race. Challenge, brilliant outfit. Never done. Went out along with a bunch of friends as well. Myself and Don Lagan and Lucy McDermott done the full distance, and Porrick done the half, and Pete Neal done the half.
Yeah.
Maybe just Michael Holland done the half.
Yeah.
Fell off the bike. So that was a brilliant race, flat as a pancake. 30 degrees, completely overcooked everything. Loved every bit of it. Too flat. Too flat, too hard.
Aye.
I think
there's no let up.
You're on the pedals all the time. It was very warm. Right? Had a brilliant race. Had a good race. Right, I went 10, 19, somewhere, or 10, 20 or something. Loved it. But that was a great buzz of that race. And then we went and done Portugal. And a month or so later, along with the boys, I enjoyed the crack and went out and I really enjoyed that too. I enjoyed the buzz. Ironman's a brilliant event. Brilliant buzz, and they put on a brilliant show, don't they? Like?
It's absolutely deadly. It's mighty stuff. Like apart from anything else, just a sense of achievement. And I know I've only done one. But I'm really, really hopeful now of getting another one done. Hopefully next year.
Forget that. You never forget the finish line, Micky.
No, you never do.
The sense of achievement. Oh Jesus, I Lanzarote. Never forget it. Shane was in the tent. Came back in the tent. Cork. The first year I done Cork. It was brilliant. We had a great day the first year round.
Aye.
Really, really enjoyed it. And but I remember that race in Almere in Holland, and that was the one I hadn't looked at the course either. My brother was standing at the finish line, or we had to do laps, 4 laps I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And after the first lap, I was running through the line and I was shouting to my brother, "How many laps have I to do?" I thought I only had 3 laps to do, and I had 4 to do. Right, couldn't believe it. Again, stupidity. Right, I had a good race, but I remember finishing that race and I was completely busted. And going over the line and sitting down beside me on the finish line and having a good cry to myself. Just pure emotion.
Aye.
Do you mean? Happens, happiness.
Deadly.
And sense of achievement doing it's brilliantly,
Well, hey,
that's just what we're looking for all the time. I don't know. Like.
There's we're in pursuit of something.
Yeah.
Don't know if any of us really know what it is, but I don't know whether it's just reinforcing our own want or needs to be pushing ourselves or to prove something to ourselves or to someone else or whatever. But for whatever reason, hey, we could be a lot worse.
That's right. Yeah, 100%.
But hey, doing a full distance triathlon is no mean feat.
Yeah.
But I'm going to bring you on now to the double.
Yeah.
You've already said Shane McGill used to be the only double Ironman in Oma.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 now, is there? Now he's of course claiming that Askra isn't in Oma, but I think that's a wee bit of a lame enough.
I'm from Askra, I'm from Askra, and Askra is an Oma district, but here you can see what it will actually mean. You know what? He can be almost only double Ironman, it will actually mean, because I'm a double Ironman myself, and whatever, it was, here, it was him that talked me into that one too,
Uh-huh.
He doesn't talk me into it, he probably, I don't know,
Your double Ironman, let's just put it out there. Your double Ironman was a bit of a beast. It's fair to say it was billed as a brutal event. It was a double brutal extreme or something like that. I think it was called. But for anybody that isn't aware of that, anybody that's listening, outline what that race kind of looked like when you break it down to your swim, your bike, and your run, and kind of the course.
Well, first of all, the brutal thing is that's the name of the company, right? The company that runs the race. So Ironman runs Ironman events, Ironman and Challenge runs areas. So this is a company called Brutal Events,
right? Okay.
And all their events is all brutal, so to speak. They're all long distance mountain marathons and Decamans and double Ironmans and what have you, right? This one, I think, is kind of their signature race. Maybe signature weekend in Llanberis in Wales, in Snowdon, right at the foot of Snowdon. And so it takes, so the same weekend there's a half distance, full distance, double distance, and there's duathlons and all sorts. But it's right at this at the foot of Snowdon, the highest mountain in Wales, and so the race goes in Lake Pattern in Llanberis town, cold water lake. Granted, it wasn't that cold. It was nice. It was nice for us. It was cold for. It's funny, the morning of the race, meeting a load of ones over there at the race. There was a lot of Europeans and stuff doing the races, French and Swiss and stuff, and English guys and out there with their double hats on and booties and gloves and all this stuff on,
Yeah.
Their water is obviously not as cold as what ours is.
We're used to swimming in the loch in the cold water here
in
Ireland,
so it goes out. So the road goes around. It goes around. The cycle goes. The swim happens in Lake Pattern.
The swim, just for the benefit of listeners, is a double distance swim. So an Ironman swims 2.4 miles. So this swim is 4.8 miles. 4.8 miles. Yeah.
4.8 miles swim. Laps in the lake, and I can be not as big an event as an Ironman. There was 23 entries in my race in the double. I think there was only 10 or 11 last year. Hence one of the reasons why the company's folding up, lack of entries. But look at but low key event, right? Quite a lot of competitors on the day with the half and the double and everything, but everybody starts at the one go, right?
Yeah.
And the half and the full and the double starts in the one time. But so the half gets out after 1900 meters, right? 1.2 mile, and then the full gets out after 2.4 mile, and then we just keep going. We got out for safety reasons, every 1.2 mile, every lap. Sorry, every 2 laps, which is 1.2 mile, 1900 meters, right? Just out and in, so that a medic could see you for the distance, right? There's a medic, and then your support crew. So one thing I will say, probably more so than anybody else, the whole weekend, I had the best crew, right? The best support crew. So a lot of mates from the club came over, my wife, the children, my mother-in-law, my brothers came over, and my cousin, Lucy and Porrick McDermott. Decky Morris, main man, and then I had a bunch of friends doing the half and the full as well, right? So I had people on there. So like whenever we got out, after every 2 laps, we would get a quick drink, basically out for 15 seconds, right, and back in the water again, and or you could stay out for an hour if you wanted, depending. But there's a cut off, right? I think the cut off is maybe 3.5 hours or 4 hours or 3.5 hours for the swim,
right?
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
For the double distance,
So it's nearly 5 mile of a swim, in fairness.
Right? And it's a lake and there's cold water and it was a bit of a current, in fairness. So got the swim done in a hurry, and I really enjoyed the swim. Right, really enjoyed the lap. I enjoyed getting it done. The swim was. I had done
big achievement in itself.
Come here. I had done the training. Eamon, the coach, would have said I had done a few long swims, longer than I was supposed to do. But Eamon, it was like, you don't need to do these long swims. You've got the swim in the bag. You'll be fresh in the morning of the race. You'll get the swim. And it wasn't really until the days before the race when I really started thinking about the swim. I've never done remotely close to this distance. Like I've done 6K maybe in the lock, but I've never done I've never swam that distance, 7.8K. So I really enjoyed the swim, right? Enjoyed getting, and then look at here, there's a whole lot of different. Somebody said to me a couple of days before the race, or said to a friend of mine, "What's his strategy?" Right, and I had no strategy. I mean. How can you have a strategy for something you've never done before?
That's right.
I've never done anything,
You might have a wee kind of notion about how you might try and pace it, but it's
I always
unknown.
say, Micky, at a half marathon, so far away from a full marathon that you could get through a half marathon without a lot of training. Get through it. You would struggle with the full.
Yes, it's a big jump.
It's a big jump. It's the very same with a half Ironman and a full Ironman.
Absolutely,
you would struggle through a half. With the cutoffs, you would. If you were strong at one discipline, you would make up the time within that to get through the cutoffs. And a full, you would not get through a full without training for it.
No.
And the cutoffs and likewise then with the double, you're not. So I had no strategy. I didn't know what I was going to do. But one thing I knew that I couldn't do was race. Was go at it like an Ironman distance race, like a sport, like a single distance or a half distance, because I would blow up, halfway through.
That's right, yeah.
So got out of the water and I back to the race and got a bit of food and in the tent. And said, look, I'm not going to spend too long hanging. I'm just going to eat a small bit of food, because no point, like, where's the point in hanging about and never resting? You don't really need a rest, So I hadn't really got it in my head. I didn't know how long I was going to stay in the tent. There was nothing planned out, such,
Yeah.
So then the bike, onto the bike. So the bike consists of a bit over the double distance now, but the doubles are 224. This is about 234 or 233 or something, right?
Right. Okay.
But it's laps of Snowdon. Every each lap's about 2,000 plus feet of climbing. Great bike course. I had been over a few weeks before, previous to it, for 2 days, cycled it. And
how many laps was there?
8 laps.
8 laps at 2,000 plus.
2,000 plus of climbing. Obviously, savage bike course. Out of the town on the bike, and because it's just a low key event, it's not like an Ironman. There's not a heap of bikes on the road, There was I was going past an odd person on the road, but everybody I went past on the road. So I didn't know what position I got out of the water in, right? And whenever I got out of the water, the race head's always there somewhere in your head, like I need to go a bit faster, what position I'm in, right?
Yes.
I don't want to not last. So I'm asking everybody on the road, what race are you doing? Are you doing the half distance or the full distance or the double, you see? Right? To kind of try and gauge, where I am within my own race. And I'm not really one to ask Grania, my wife, where am I? Because then if I start asking her whereabouts I'm in position, well, she knows that I'm starting to get a bit of a race head on, and she's trying to keep me calm down on the bike, keep me going slower rather than faster, you know what I mean? So to ensure that I'm going to finish the race. So out on the bike and the weather was brilliant, right? The weather was unreal. And got a lap and started then after the second, and halfway through the second lap, we got a bit of food on, and started then just once every lap, and we stopped for a small wee bike, got my bottles filled in my bike, so we could stop every lap, take 2 small bottles, would do me a lap, and then to take minimal weight, right, because there's two climbs on the bike course. There was a whole heap of climbs, but there was 2 major climbs, 3 categories climbs. The first one was about a mile plus of probably in and around about 13-14% type thing, right? Real leg winner. Dead on at the start. First lap, second lap, third lap, dead on, But you just know in them early laps, this is the one that's going to really hurt you.
This is going to be stingy later on.
And then the last, so Penny Pass, great, beautiful country to cycle, like, lovely place, Wales, around Snowdonia. The Penny Pass is 3.8 mile long. Average gradient 7% or something, right? But it's just like the one gradient the whole way, so it's absolutely perfect, right? For it's just low gear and just put the head down and
just top
beautiful scenery, unreal. Wee low wall, looking over the lakes and into the mountains and whatever. So the crew was up the mountain in a lay-by all the time, shouting from me, and giving me a good boost, And then at the end of that 3.8 mile, there was a really fast, steep, sharp downhill for a mile or 2. where you could pick up, you could go fast, you know.
Aye.
And then a couple of miles back into the town again. So that was great. Hey, so we started making up. I had kind of anticipated maybe. Look at it. I kind of thought so. Anyway, before we go any further, going back, how I actually got into the race was I seen it on video, right? Fergus Crowley, Gymshark sponsored. Does it and documented on YouTube.
Yes.
A few years back.
I've seen it. Yeah.
And Kieran Daly, my cousin, sent it to me when he was training for Ironman Cork last year, and kind of this is where I first seen it. So I've been watching his YouTube video all the time, you know, and his times, right? You know, so gauging myself off him.
Yes.
Right. I mean, this boy's he's an ultra runner or an ultra someone, or I don't know. He does all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Weights and whatever. So I'm kind of gauging myself off him, but he finished the race quite close to the cutoff, although he had a couple of breakages on his bike. 40 hours, 41 hours, maybe took him time. We kind of thinking, you know, like, I'm gauging myself off him, but, you know, I'm not a professional athlete, full-time kind of athlete.
Aye.
You know, so I'm probably going to be slower, but I can't be much slower because the cutoff, he was quite close to the cutoff time, you know. So I had to kind of gauge the bike laps to be 2 hours plus me feeding, stopping for food, and plus stopping, penning in, say, 2 sleeps. 2 15-minute sleeps, 1 or 2 if I really needed it.
Yeah.
Because going with my times and then not to be out of the water, not be starting the bike like 3 hours or 3.5 hours. I didn't want to push. Like I was giving myself plenty of time, but I didn't want to say to myself, "Look, I'm going to be out of the water in 2.5 hours," and then if I wasn't, put myself under pressure. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
But then whenever I did get out of the water, I was like 30 minutes ahead of schedule, and the first lap I was like done in an hour and 40 minutes. And the second lap was around the same time. That was me stopping for food and all, you know. So I was making up time. The first 3-4 laps, I had made a lot of time. I had to go a couple of hours ahead of schedule, kind of, you know.
Aye.
So then I'm this positive then, you mean, like I'm going to be, and then so then the crew then sort of started saying, look, you're going to be, if you keep going the way you're going, and we're going to pen in a dinner shop, an actual proper dinner.
Aye.
Right, it was very important to eat. Like in my Ironman races, I would eat virtually nothing solid food wise, barring maybe in the run. It's all gel and tailwind, you know, or whatever. And I'm dead on with that, right? But this is different. You have to eat.
It's the guts of 2 days.
Proper food, you know. So I was eating proper food at the back of the van, and still taking the carb drinks and stuff, but not as much. And so I had penned and then till I allowed myself to go fast enough in the bike that I could still stop after lap 6 and stop and eat a proper dinner, which I did. I ate spuds and chicken and gravy at the side of the road, at the side of the right, and it's black dark at 10 o'clock at night. I thought I wouldn't be eating dinner at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, but it was a lot further ahead than what I had allowed myself at the start.
Aye, I know what you mean.
And I was in 5th position, by the way. I heard someone saying right on the double. So 2 laps to go. Grania then cycled with me the last 2 laps, or well, you know, barring the downhill sections again. Then that last bit. So she cycled with me. For a bit of company, right? Whatever you're allowed, by the way. Because once you're out, way out, in the middle of the mountains, it's pure dark. Like, you know, we had lights on the bike, and one of the fellas was following us behind the van, right? The lights of the van. Just for safety, for there's a lot of these small, narrow corners, back roads.
Aye.
QR come around the corner and take you out of it, you know.
Yes.
But we had good lights and what have you. So I would got off the bike at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was buzzing because I had allowed that I wouldn't make it off the bike to 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Yeah.
Aye, great. Yeah, and I have to say, it's the longest run I've ever done. And it was the longest cycle. I'd done 212 miles about 3 weeks before it, with a bunch of lads from Adelaide direction, the worst day of the year, on a charity fundraiser. Again, another cycle. I've met about 10 men that I never knew at all, and can now say all friends since. And then, so I'd done the think it was 233 mile or 234 mile or something. 15 hours, 15 something, 15 to 16 hours, 15:54, right, off the bike at 2 o'clock in the morning, and loved every minute of it, every mile of it, you know. Never thought I would have been able to say that, like, after that distance. And on the run Tuesday, and up Snowdon. So I had to go up Snowdon. The first part,
you make it sound so easy, like
up Snowdon at Conor McCartan running I had to have someone. So the lads that done the half and the full, they had to go up Snowdon as well at the finish of their marathons or half marathons or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to go up first.
Right.
And they didn't have to have someone with them, but I did because of the distance, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Or whatever, right?
So tell me, what is up Snowdon? What height? What elevation are we talking in miles and stuff?
Well, Snowdon's the highest mountain in Wales, right? To be 100% honest, I don't actually know the elevation we went up that. So Snowdon's 4,000 plus feet, I think, right? Something like that. I'm not sure how far our elevation that day was.
Suffice to say that it makes Mullaghcarn look like a wee bump.
Oh, that's a long way. But the only thing, we started at 2:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. So it's pitch black as well.
Pitch black with headlights on, right? Now, a couple of the fellas that have been with us had headed off an hour before it, just to be up in Snowdon for the crack, you know, to see us whenever we got up on it.
Aye.
So we headed off at 2:30, and Conor, no holding back. Like Conor does. He does a lot of mountain running and stuff and has done over the years. So it was a walk, run, walk. Everywhere there was like a hill, we ran it, and everywhere there's a steep hill, we walked.
Aye.
Pretty much, we ran the hills and walked the steep hills. Yes. You know, the real steep sections.
Yeah.
And quite rocky, but it was great because it was the middle of the night and I couldn't see how far I had to go. You know, he knew how far he had been on the course before. I knew how far. No one would say that we've got a half hour to go here, 40 minutes, we'll be at the top, you know. And
there's something about that, not being able to see what's ahead of you, that makes you just get on with what's going on right there in front of you.
Great thing. So we bid on up and we actually got to the top. So there's people on the mountain till mark your number off. Craters was on the mountain here from early morning from the half distance.
Well, tell me, is there wee markers the whole way up the mountain?
Nothing.
Or is it just you have to go to that point?
You go to
you make your own way up. You make your own path. You create
there's a path, right? There's a path. Well, there's a train track as well, but that's different. No, it's not far, but you can't see it. You can if you knew where it was.
I was just thinking at night. You've obviously never went up Snowdon before, and then at night.
Well, that's to say, that's one of. It did get quite cloudy just beforehand. And the cloud did drop in a lot when we turned at the top. So we actually went further than we went to the last marker or the last man. Mm-hmm. There was a fella there marking us off, and the time control or whatever, and he was turning us just about 5 minutes from the top.
Right.
Because it's quite narrow, I think, from there on until the top. And during the day, whenever there's a lot of people on the mountain wants to go to the top, it'd be queues.
Right,
so if you're racing it, you can't get in the queue. So anyway, lo and behold, we went up on ahead to the top before, instead of turning around, just to have got to the very top of Snowdon. So we turned around.
Well, you might as well when you were up at it.
Might as well. And you know what? The visibility was quite bad on the way down for a while. So it was. And a bit of miserable rain and stuff. And I had a run bag on and all the kit, you know. So we ran the whole way down. Pretty much ran the whole way down. You know, and the legs were good, I think. Come here. The legs were great. Got to the bottom, and my legs was great. We clocked the fastest time by maybe 40 minutes of the race. That got up and down Snowdon. But whenever you've got Snowdon's 10 mile, right? So there's still 42 mile to go. You know.
Just before you move off Snowdon, how long did it take you going up and down Snowdon?
2 hours and the 100 down here, so about 2 hours and 43 minutes.
I was chatting to Park McDermott the other night. We were out cycling, and he was saying to me that him and the Lucy And was it just him and Lucy, or the couple of them maybe went
Him
up?
and Lucy went up with Davy O'Hagan. They made it
Davy,
up.
and they went up and down the mountain, and took them 4.5 hours. Now he says, and they were fresh. He says that O'Hagan animal went up and down it in 2 hours. Just to put it into context. Now I know they weren't. I know they weren't racing or they weren't pushing it, but still, like to get up and down that in that time and to be the fastest man on the track on the day in that race is. I mean, that is unreal. That's phenomenal achievement.
I didn't know. I wouldn't. We ran up and ran there, and I just everybody was running. If you asked me at the time, I didn't know. You know, it was a good thing. Really enjoyed that. I mean, I would love to do it again in daylight. Maybe actually see the mountain or see off the top of the mountain. You know.
Did you realise that you were a bit of a mountain goat then? Until you done that, like, did you realise that you could?
We actually done.
You clearly got it in you.
Going back there a month or two before as well. Not as part of my training, but so the Knockmany Running Club had signed up to do Connor and Terry McKenna and Declan Faulkner with they had mountain leaders, took us all and done the Ireland's 13 Munros, the Firths, I think you call it, was it the 13 highest mountains?
That's right.
Firth, or it's a mountain over 3,000 foot. So we done the 13 in one weekend down in Wicklow and Tip and it was 11 and Kerry.
Very, very clearly stood you in good stead.
Oh, no doubt. That was all hiking with a heavy bag, with a bag of gear. But it was absolutely no doubt it stood to me.
In the same way that cycling trip in Mallorca stood you to the Lanza course on your first Ironman. That weekend, being a mountain goat with the Knockmany boys helped you to get up and down Snowdon that day.
Oh, there's no doubt. Got up and down in good steep.
But mighty training for that specific. Right, so you're at the bottom of Snowdon. You've ran up and you've ran down Snowdon. You've still a full marathon to do then. You've more than a marathon.
42 mile to do.
42 mile to do. So in my head I was thinking 42k. 42 miles, right? Okay.
So that's 8 laps of the lake Roswamel, which is about a mile and a half. I think it was a mile and a half of road tar or tar path, flat, and then goes until about another a mile plus of tar hills, quite steep, up a road around the back of the lake, and then goes off the road then in through a forest path, paved rough area, right? Up through trees and shale and quite steep down and quite steep up, right? A lot of very steep trails down and up, right? Brilliant path, you know, lovely, nice run. We ran 8 laps, so it's just over 5 mile, over 500 foot of climbing each. There's 500 foot of climbing each lap. Look at picking off the laps then, right? So at no stage would I have ever looked at 42 mile, you mean, or 52 mile for that matter. It was all about laps, right? Don't look at the finish, you know. I was watching listening to a podcast, your podcast. The young lad from Newry had done the challenge from.
Oh, aye. Daniel Smith, the swimmer.
He talked about being in the moment, not looking behind and not looking forward, and I got a lot of that then, not looking to the end, not thinking about how far I had to go or how far I could. Don't look back. You've only gone 5 miles, you can still see the shore. The only thing he thought about was what he was actually doing in the moment and how he was doing it, you know, how he was swimming, not just, you know, keep thinking about what you're actually doing at the moment, you know. And the very same thing, and I that was exactly how I done my race, that whole double. You know, don't think about the end goal. Think about what you're actually doing, how you're riding the bike, how you're swimming. You know, how I'm swimming the lake, how efficient I can be in the bike, and you know, ride the hills easy, ride the flats faster, get my brakes down the hills, and the same when you're running. How am I running? What pace am I running at? And do I need to be running now? Do I kind of walk this hill, get a breather, and make a bit of time going down the hill and on the flat? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And go at a steady pace on the flat, and so pick off the laps, right? So first lap was early in the morning. Myself and Connor had ran the mountain. We ran the first lap, and then Connor stayed with me for the second lap, and the third lap's hard because the fourth lap's easy because the fourth lap is you're halfway maybe you've done. The third lap's mentally hard. Do you mean once you have the fourth lap done, you have the back broke. You've Snowdon already done. You have the first 10 mile done. Then you've got 20 mile done. You've got the fourth lap done. You have another 30 mile done.
Mm-hmm.
The last 4 laps, you have just 4 laps to go. Right,
that's right.
In your head.
You get to a point where you've ran more than you have left to run, sort of thing, psychologically.
And you know what? And I've always said it for an Ironman or a half Ironman or a marathon or a half marathon or whatever, that if you're not mentally ready for it and you can't tell your legs to shut up, I think it's. And I'm adamant that it's 70% of all the stuff's in your head.
I would agree with that.
There's no doubt. That run, I loved every bit. I've said this several times since. That's probably the first triathlon that I can say that I genuinely and really enjoyed every minute of it. Now, again, 70% of it's psychological and all this here, but a lot of my race I've done was to do with the crew. Mm-hmm. I had a great crew of people there, and they kept me. The crack was good, and it took away from have 50 mile to run yet here, but 100 mile left in the bike, or do you know what I mean? That was a big thing. Definitely a big shout out to them, for sure.
Anybody that I've spoken to that has undertaken these ultra events will always tip, the crew. Mm-hmm. And I think if you were to try and tackle something like that by yourself, I don't know that you would be able to do it. Like I think you need that camaraderie and that support, and
of course you do.
We're social beings too. Like
well, even the people on the course, I had great crack with we ran until we ran off the mountain, and we must have ran in I think the 4th position on the run at the start of the run. We were in 4th, which was a big thing then too, you see, because like somebody said to me, "Are you gonna sleep?" Well, I was never gonna sleep at that stage because I was buzzing for the whole thing then, and I was still taking the gels and taking the carb drinks and what have you, and a bit of food, and
you didn't sleep at all then? No, from start to finish?
I couldn't sleep. I was buzzing for
you were pumped.
I had pain in sleeps, but I could never at no stage did I feel like sleep at all.
Did any of your competitors opt for a time out sleep?
I think maybe I don't know. I would say some of the eyes. There was some of them now was. There was a good few didn't make the cutoffs and stuff, And I know that whenever at the start of the laps, so there was a French fella way ahead, right? Mm-hmm. So he was an hour, 2 hours ahead, and an English guy was. So there was a good friend of mine, who I've met only a few times, who was one of 4 people last year was supposed to do the double in Cork, the half and the full, who'd done it the previous year.
Okay.
Right. He was over at the race, and he was at the race, and he knew the fella who was in second, the third actually, English fella, right? And I can't remember his name. And he knew me, right? So I was in 4th, and your man was in 3rd, and I was kind of hunting him down. But somewhere along the line, the boy that was in 2nd was a Swiss fella. He took a break in the tent, went in for a sleep or a break, and the English fella who was 3rd went into 2nd, right? And your man had come back out in front of me.
Back into 3rd place?
Right.
Yes.
So I didn't know where he was. I couldn't see him in the laps. Granted, the laps aren't that long. I didn't know how far away he was, So there was a whole lot of, the crack was good then. Like I knew I was making time on the laps, on the tracker thing. And so I was running then, and I'll not say, right, we ran across, so I was asking people on the course that I met, how many laps have you done, Because I think this was my 3rd lap or 4th lap. How many laps have you done? So if you were on the same lap as me, well then you're the man that's ahead of me. You know, if I come up behind you, I knew there was only 3 ahead of me. You know, so I was asking everybody. So someone would say like, "This is my first lap," or so I knew that it was like 3 laps ahead of him. So you won't be worried as the next man. So anyway, we came round and we eventually caught the boy right. This Swiss fella. He was going through the motions on the side of the track, you know, side of the path, and then we're in third, you know, and at no stage leading up to this race or for the last 6 months was ever going to be second or third. You mean?
Yeah.
So that was a big bonus then. You know, the last few laps, knowing that I was in third place. You know, I had thought about trying to up my game a bit, you know, and trying to make a go for second. You mean? But I had a bit of time to make up, and you know, I probably maybe could have, but whatever. Like, you know, I was in third, and I couldn't care less after that. You know, because I had a lot of miles done, and my legs were starting to hurt. Then really hurt. You know, I was no doubt. I was the downhills, the steep downhills was really getting me. Quads were sore, and you know, my shoulders are sore, and but I come here. But great crack.
Hey, you finished the double brutal in what time total? Your total time?
My total time was 30 hours and 56 minutes and 49 seconds. Just below 31 hours. I probably
and a third place on the podium, and the fastest man up and down snow.
That's great. I was 36. I had allowed myself 36 to 38 hours. I was telling people 36 to 38 hours. That's what I was going to do. You know, and I was gauging myself off Fergus Crowley, who went 41 hours. You mean? So I went 10 hours quicker than him.
But that guy that you were comparing yourself, and I know it was just off the back of the wee video that he had, and that you were comparing yourself to him. But he wasn't the same animal that you are on a bike.
Well, you know what I mean? What he was doing.
He absolutely is an athlete, but he's a different type of athlete than you. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Where you had the strength that he didn't. Yeah. Because he couldn't bike, like you. You know, you may as well be racing me as race him on a bike.
Come here.
You know, you can look the part, but put him on a road bike.
There's no doubt. Come here, there's no doubt it was a savage. It's a savage course. The whole thing, the bike course was exactly what I said. Exactly what I said in the tin. It was brutal. I mean, it was hilly, and the weather was brilliant. In fairness, it could have been the complete opposite. The weather could have been really bad. But the weather, because I was overtraining a few weeks before it, done 2 or 3 days, and the weather for one of the days, the weather was brutal bad, right? So it could have went like that, but the weather was perfect, right? Which was a big plus. But come here, brutal course, hard run, really hard run. But it's just a pity it's not on again. You know.
The other thing as well we need to mention was you raised a few pounds for a very, very worthwhile charity here locally. You raised, what was your final total for Air Ambulance?
Yes, Micky, the final total was.
It was well over. Was it over? It was well over 11,000.
Well over, almost 12,000. I'm just again. I'm a disaster.
No, it's all right. It's just remember that you raised that money as well. So,
yes, we done very, very good. We done £11,453.
There you are, 11.5 grand. We'll call it.
I done a charity. My longest run was 5 hours. 5-hour run. And that 5-hour run, I wanted to do it again at night or in the evening time, to get a bit of see what it was like in the dark at the night, and I ran it in Knockmany Forest a few weeks before, and so that night in Knockmany we done a bucket, an Air Ambulance bucket, a drop-in, donation bucket, and we ran for 5 hours, ran for 33 miles, 33 miles, and we raised, I think that made about £1,450 or something in the bucket.
Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant that night, and then a good few people then was giving me donations, cash donations, and so I come here. We started off Niall McDermott, big shout out to Niall McDermott. Niall done the Facebook post, that whole Just Giving page and all for me, right? Because I wouldn't have a clue how to do and then stuff, right? I'm not very tech savvy at all. So he done that. We started. We put the limit at £1,000 at the start, and it hit £1,000 quite quick. And then so we changed the limit then from 1,000 to 5,000, and sure there's no time till it was you know. But it's a great charity, there's no doubt. The Air Ambulance is a great charity.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Damon, that is unreal. I mean, to do what you've done in the time that you've done it, to podium, and to take the scalp of them well seasoned international animals up and down the mountain as well, is just it's unbelievable. Like it's some feeling like
brilliant.
The big question is now that you've done that, what's next? Or is that maybe you're gonna? I don't suppose there's any chance of you having a wee lie down for a while. Maybe.
Oh well, like you can't. Eamon again, the coach. You have to be sensible, really. Like I'm very, very lucky. I don't get any injuries, right? Very lucky. Touch wood. And all a lot down to Eamon too. The way he keeps me right. He keeps me right that way. No injuries. So I think if I was to keep on betting on now for no reason, because there's nothing really coming up at this time of year, you would run until some sort of an injury, you know. So I'll take it easy for a while, a couple of sports or whatever, you know, like not doing all the time. And I've already signed up for Copenhagen Ironman next year.
Right, okay.
Chasing that sub 10 Ironman. I raced Austria this year early on as a kind of a tune up for the double. And I went 39 seconds quicker than I ran in Almere. I went in Almere. So I'm chasing this 10 hours. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. After doing that double, probably before I never thought of anything else, but the amount of things that goes through your head, like, maybe if I hadn't enjoyed that race, I wouldn't be thinking about someone else, right?
There's a glint in your eye here.
Look, I've done the double. I've no point doing another one, Micky, you know.
No.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. There's a wee pause of silence there, and I know you can't see what I've seen there, but there was a certain wee glint in your eye there. Do you know what? We'll leave it at that.
We'll just do that, Micky.
We'll leave it as a dot.
Yeah.
And if you do anything as epic as what you've already done, I'll be delighted to have you back on the podcast for another chat.
Micky, thanks very much for having me.
Damien, thank you very much. Hopefully you'll have a nice winter. You'll get well rested. You'll have a nice family Christmas, and you'll be back pounding the pavements and killing Ironman events all of next season, no doubt.
Hopefully. All alone.
Good man.
Good man, Micky.
Take care.
See you, sure.